Hello, Zoe from Xonboard here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to onboard a new employee into your Xero payroll in just a few minutes. Let's get started by creating an account with Xonboard. To do this, click the Sign Up button. The easiest way to create your account is by using the Sign In with Xero option, but you can also use Google or use an email and password. Now I'm signed into Xonboard. Next up, let's connect one of our Xero organizations. Click the Connect to Xero button here to get started. From this page, choose the organizations that you'd like Xonboard to have access to, then click Allow Access. Now we've got a list of the Xero organizations that Xonboard can access. Click the Create button to add the organization to Xonboard. If a colleague has already connected a Xero organization, you'll have the option to join it here instead. Now we need to set up a few details about the organization before we can invite any employees to onboard with us. So let's jump into our organization settings, where we can add a company logo, a default welcome message, which we can customize later on, an email address, name, and contact phone number. Once that's done, we'll hit save and move on. Next, we need to set up a default super fund. Under Configure Superannuation, I'm going to choose Australian Super as my default fund. I'll leave my employer number blank, and once that's been selected, I'll hit save and move on. Okay, now I'm ready to onboard an employee. To do this, I'll jump into Onboard Employees. I'll enter the employee's email address, skip the phone number, and I'll select Employee from the User Kind drop-down menu. I'll apply the standard onboarding template. The standard onboarding includes the collection of bank, tax, super, employee details, and emergency contacts, everything you need to set up a new employee in Xero. I can also adjust the welcome message if I need to and select any additional Fair Work statements to include in the onboarding flow. I'll hit Send Invite. That sent an email to the employee with instructions on how to get started. I'll show you what that looks like for them at the end of this video. But first, let's take a look at what happens when the employee is done and you're ready to finalize their onboarding. Right, we're back. We've just received a notification that the employee has completed their onboarding and are ready to be sent through to Xero Payroll. I've logged into Xonboard and I can see that the employee is in a completed state on my dashboard. From here, I'm going to click Finalize. This is our Finalize screen, where we can enter a few last details before sending the employee into Xero. I'll give this employee a job title, start date, and enter some additional pay details. The only required field is the employment basis, but I'll go ahead and complete the other fields that are relevant to STP2, and then I'll hit Save and Continue. Now it's time for one last check of the employee's details. This is also where I can download any of their completed documents before saving and sending everything to payroll. I'll hit Save and Send to payroll, and that's it, all done. An employee onboarded into Xero in just a few minutes. Now we're going to jump into the employee experience. So this here is what your new employee will see when they're invited to join your business. The first step for them is to verify themselves by sending a code to the invited email address. I'll go ahead and do that now. Once the code is entered, your new starter will see a list of onboarding sessions they need to complete. They'll also see any old onboarding sessions, so they've got a record of what's been done previously. I'm going to click View to get started. First up, I'll fill in some details about my identity, then hit Save and Continue. Next, I'll complete my contact details. Notice I enter an incorrect address, and notice how we nudge the employee to correct the mistake. Next, I'll enter the details for my emergency contact. We unfortunately can't push this information through to Xero because of limitations with their API, but we keep a copy in Xonboard for your records. Also notice how we've pre-filled the address from the employee's own contact details. Small enhancements like this make the onboarding as easy as possible for them to complete. Next up, I'll complete the tax file number declaration. This is probably the most complex form within the onboarding flow, but we've designed it to be as easy and as guided for the employee as possible. We're actively improving these forms too, so there is a chance this will look a little different in the future. Once I've filled everything out, I'll sign the declaration and continue. Next up, I'll view and acknowledge any Fair Work statements my employer has requested. Then I'll add my bank account details. We match the same rules Xero uses, so employees can add multiple accounts and split payments across them if they'd like. I'll click Next, then confirm my details are correct. We're nearly at the end. I'll agree to these superannuation terms and conditions, and now I'm on the Super Choice page. This is the digital version of the standard Super Choice form employees get when starting a new job. They can stay with their existing fund, use their employee's default fund, or instantly sign up to a new fund. If you've set up our ATO integration, employees will also be able to use a Lookup Super button to find their existing fund, which uses the ATO's super stapling service. We've also partnered with some funds to perform direct lookups. These two features help employees find their existing super fund easily, which means you get more accurate details from your employees up front. I'm going to stick with my existing fund here. I'll select my fund, enter my member number, check that all my details here look correct, and then I'll complete the declaration to nominate my super fund. Finally, I'm shown a quick overview of what happens next, and then I can hit continue. And that's it, we're all done. My details have been sent to my employer in Xonboard and are ready to be pushed through into Xero payroll. Thanks for watching.